Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we are going to be reviewing this all new figure from Stan Solo of Garindan from Star Wars A New Hope. Now this is a figure that Kenner never produced back in the day, but it's one that many people wanted to have because he plays a really key part in the Star Wars movie. He is the person that the Empire employ to try and track down the droids. He's a spy and one of the ne'er-do-wells of Mos Eisley, and you see him in a few scenes during the movie talking to some stormtroopers and then pointing the direction of where the droids have gone after they've been into the cantina. So he plays a really pivotal role in the movie, and now we have a figure of him. So if you're doing dioramas and things like that, you can add this figure to them. He's available both carded on a really nice looking Star Wars card and also loose, as you can see here. So let's take a closer look at both of these in more detail. So here we have the carded version of Garindan. As you can see, it's on a Star Wars card and it does look really very nice indeed. The image on the front shows a nice sort of close-up of Garindan's face. He's got a very distinctive look because you can see he's got this sort of long snout. In fact, his alternate name, or the name that sort of other people know him as, is Long-snoot. I have a feeling when Kenner would have done this, they probably would have put Long-snoot there as his name, just because you had other characters like Hammerhead and Walrus Man, and those aren't their sort of official Star Wars name. So it may have been that they would have done that, but Garindan is its official name, so that's what we have there. As you can see, we have the figure here on the left. He comes with a couple of accessories. He's got his cape and he's got a little communicator that's in his hand. I'll show you that when we look at the loose figure. If we turn the card over, you can see this is a Star Wars 21 back card, and for those worried about this getting mixed up with the vintage figures, even though it is a custom figure, it is clearly marked at the bottom. It does say Stan Solo. I think always when you get to carded figures from Stan Solo, it's the quality of them that really stands out. They feel like vintage cards. They've got the right sort of weight, and the card stock is really sort of very close to the original one, and the print quality is lovely as well. If you put this side by side with a vintage card, they just fit in so nicely. It's a really sort of quality item, and it's amazing that these are being sort of reproduced to look like vintage cards. If you compare them to the retro collection figures, which I've done previously as well, the retro collection figures look terrible. The cards are really sort of thin, and it's got far too much sort of fake information on them and these sort of fake bits of dirt around the edge. This is what a vintage card should look like, and it really does do the job. So there we go, that is the carded version of Garindan. Let's take a look at the figure. And here we have the loose figure. As you can see, he does look very cool indeed, and it's got a proper sort of Kenner style to it. The weight of these feels like a Kenner figure, and he moves sort of in exactly the same way. You've got arms that move, you can rotate his head, and his legs move as well. And this guy comes with a cape which is sort of very reminiscent of Vader's cape. It's got that sort of same feel to it. It's not actually Vader's cape. I'll bring in a Vader here. You can see Vader's cape is much taller and has a far longer neck. So this is an all sort of new custom cape, and he does come with this little accessory. Now this accessory is the same accessory that comes with the cloud car pilots from Empire Strikes Back, but made in a black plastic. If I bring in one of my cloud car pilots, you can see here, this is not actually an original one, this is a repro one as well, so this is made in a blue plastic, but it's the same little communicator that comes with the cloud car pilot, and it fits very nicely in the hand of this figure. He doesn't come with a weapon, it's just a communicator, which is how he communicates with the stormtroopers in the movie. Now when I first got this figure, I was sort of thinking that maybe this body was based on the Death Squad commander figure, but it's not actually. If I bring in a Death Squad commander, you can see that there are many differences. The gloves are completely different. There's much more sort of fabric detail on the body. So although, you know, in my mind it looks like that it's based on this, I think this is a completely new sculpt of a figure. I've not been able to find anything in my collection that matches it, so it's done a very nice job. If we turn it round, on the back of the leg you'll see that there is a copyright marking, if I just move his cape out of the way, which says SS, so this is clearly a Stan Solo figure. Everything about this figure feels vintage. He has the right weight to him, he has the right sort of movement in his limbs. You can, as you can see, put his weapon in nicely, and it really does hold it quite well. He's just an excellent figure, and if you want to do dioramas like I was doing earlier, you can bring in a couple of vintage stormtroopers and have him chatting to those. It's just a lovely figure, and one that I think Kenner, should have done back in the day. He was a key part of the movie. There are many characters in the first film that never got a figure made of them, Grand Moff Tarkin being the main one that people want, but I think this guy, because he plays such a pivotal role, they really should have bothered making a figure, and I'm very surprised that they never did. So it's great that Stan Solo has now added this to his collection of custom figures. I want to check this figure out in a little bit more detail, so I am going to take off his cape. If we remove his little communicator there, let's take off his cape. The safest way to remove capes from all Star Wars figures is to rotate the arms backwards, and then you can pull the cape off without damaging it. If you try and do it another way, you'll stretch the cape and it will cause damage to it. But as you can see, that's an easy way of removing the cape. And now we can see the figure in greater detail. It really is lovely. You can see there's a nice lot of sort of detailing going on with fabric folds. He's got really lovely shiny gloves there, and his strange little face there on the top. It reminds me a lot of a Muppets character, I have to say, but it always did, even in the movies. This reminded me of a Muppet, but it's very nicely done, and a nice amount of paint detail going on there. So we've got his face painted, and we've got his little goggles painted on the top, and then on his body there's just a little bit of detail on the belt there, and his boots and gloves painted. It's very nice indeed. So to put the cape back on, we basically reverse that method. So rotate his arms backwards, and then we can slot the cape on again without sort of causing any tearing, and fold his arms down, and there we go, that's the cape back on, and we'll put his little communicator back in his hand there. As well as this figure, Stan Solo has produced a whole range of figures over the years, and if you haven't checked out some of the recent custom ones that he's been working on, and I highly suggest that you do, I will put links to my videos on those in the description and at the end of this video, because they're well worth checking out. I think his Ula and that Slave Leia are some of the best that he has ever done. I will also be putting a link to his shop in the description, so if you want to get this for yourself, then follow that link and go and grab them. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.